Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our live chat. Today we're essentially going to be discussing St. Benedict's new differentiated learning approach. My name is Tando Shabalala, the college head boy, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you tonight. I'm joined by the lovely Mrs. McKinnon, the head of our junior prep, and she'll be speaking to the niche program and her involvement with it in the junior prep, and how it's managed to find a home not only in the minds and the lives of our junior prep boys, but also that of our staff members who are offering these niches. Mrs. McKinnon.
Thank you, Tando. And as you indicated, I'm going to be talking about the niche program at the junior prep level, which is from grade 0 to grade 3, even though it has been introduced across the whole school. You'll see I've brought a few little items to share with you. I'll chat about them in a moment, just to give you an idea of what we have achieved. So the rationale behind this was knowing the importance of developing holistic education in boys, enriching them from the academic side, the arts and sport, but we realized we could just make it so much better, and we wanted to optimize that. And one of the challenges was giving boys an opportunity to engage fully in sport, but also do the niche programs, and we didn't want to exclude anybody. And so the idea was that we created a dedicated time on our timetable so that every single boy would have this opportunity to engage in these activities where he could either extend where he already has an interest or discover something new and develop that passion. So we started off by talking to the boys. That's always our starting point, to find out for them what were the things that interested them. And we got a range: technology, nature, arts, music, dance. And so we formulated a list of niches and then got the teachers involved. And as you said, the teachers are just as excited as the boys. And I think that's been one of the successes of this program, because when the boys are motivated and the teachers, it's just an exciting, successful time. So as we developed the programs, we also realized we wanted to make sure that it appealed to boys. And as we know, boys learn differently. I'm sure you recognize that.
We do.
And so we wanted it to be a completely boy-friendly environment. And so we started off, as we know, boys love hands-on activities. So we found activities such as woodwork, where they could be hammering and nailing and getting down to that. The puppet making, very hands-on. And cooking up a storm with MasterChef. They've loved that. And then we also discovered boys love science. They've loved the facts, and they love experiments and having information on hand. And so they came kitted out with their safety goggles, and a lot of our activities are STEM related, which, as you know, science, technology, engineering and maths. We also found that boys wanted opportunities to be creative. And I think this is one of the exciting parts, because when they have an opportunity to express themselves, they're finding out more about themselves, but also it's developing their own creative thinking. And that develops innovative skills and has so many spin-offs. So from the creative side, we've got art, we've got dance, we've got drama, we've got music, and so there's something for everybody. And then of course, we know that the boys love the technology side. But it looks like you're agreeing with that. You also love tech.
No, definitely.
And but what we also know about boys is when they're given a task, it needs to be relevant to them. It needs to have a purpose, not just doing it for the sake of it. And so we've created these tech challenges for them. And I'll chat a bit more about that. But we found ways where they could enhance their technology and make their own movies and make their own animations. And so it's been a very exciting program. And I know that in the high school you're doing a similar thing.
So we are doing a similar thing. We've also got the niche program, and I'm actually quite happy that it's actually been, been erected into our school. I'm actually quite sad that it's only been this year, seeming as though this is my last year, mainly because I see a space for it in mainstream education. Quite often, mainstream education doesn't encourage boys to think outside of the box, and such niche programs do. I mean, I'm involved in the dramatic arts niche, and I'm also a drama student. So, partaking in drama as a subject and a niche, you'd think it's the same thing, and it's completely different. It's like chalk and cheese. Whereas in the subject drama, we're geared towards the final IEB examination. We're not necessarily given the tools to think outside the box as much. There's certain parameters that almost block our thinking. Whereas in our drama niche, we're able to actually create narratives and allow these narratives to go on display on stage. I mean, recently we had the One Act Play Festivals, and I believe I saw you there this afternoon.
I watched that final today,
Yeah.
and I was so impressed.
Yeah.
The fact the boys wrote that themselves and produced it and did
Yeah.
all the backstage. Wow.
And that's the beauty of it, that we're able and we're encouraged to actually think outside the box and go beyond conventional norms of thinking. And it's not only in the drama niche. I mean, there's car maintenance, we do woodworking as well. And what's actually funny about car maintenance, and actually this niche I signed up for next term, is that I think it's something that we as a society need to make sure we know. Quite often people don't know much about their cars, and it's not necessarily that they don't want to know, it's just that there isn't avenues for them to learn about these things. Whereas in our niche program, boys are able to actually learn about these things in the comfort of the school's gates. Quite often people will go to garages after they purchase a car, and they won't necessarily know how to even change their oil. And only when they get to the garage and they tell them, listen, you know, your car's short of oil, they're like, how? You know. So it's been exceptionally brilliant. We've got a genetics niche as well, which is run by Mrs. Zajac, which has been, it's been interesting because many boys that haven't taken biology as a subject quite often think it's over for them. And the next time, maybe in grade 10, they decide later on in the year that they want to pick up biology, and it's a bit too late sometimes because it's quite a context-based subject. So the genetics niche has almost allowed boys who haven't taken biology throughout grade 10 to actually learn more about biology outside of it from the subject. And you know, whatever's being taught in the genetics niche is almost gearing them towards tertiary education. I mean, and I think that's the case for all of our niches. If you're wanting to go into the humanitarian faculty, the economic management sciences faculty, or even health sciences, our niches, there's a niche for everything. There's a niche for every faculty. And the way we do it, so the college runs a 10-day cycle timetable. And every day 1 and every day 8, we have lessons that are dedicated within our timetable that we actually go to our different niches. So we're not necessarily doing these niches outside of school. It's all almost, you know, integrated into our timetable apart from the integrated day. So it's almost extracurricular, but is it really? And I want to know, how does it work for the boys in the JP? Is it something similar? Do they run a 10-day cycle as well? How do you fit it into their timetable?
It's slightly different to that, but it's interesting what you said about actually expanding our thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that's this space that niche has provided.
Mm.
And for the boys, it's not work. And very often when it's work, it adds a bit of stress and they're worried there might be assessment. And this is a very safe space to be creative, to be expressive, to make mistakes, to problem solve, to fix them. And I think that's been one of the bonuses of that. So the way it works in the JP is we've dedicated a weekly slot. But because we know at this level, we don't want the boys sort of becoming over-specialised.
Yeah.
I think as they grow into high school, you know, they might find a passion and want to really sort of dig deep into it. We have a structure where the boys rotate every 6 weeks. So during the course of the year, they have done 6 different niches out of about 15. So there's a lot of choices, and it's still what they want to do, but there is that variety.
And I do think it's actually, it's important because as boys we quite often think we know what we like.
Yeah.
And there's that old saying, don't knock it till you've tried it. And actually, I didn't think I would enjoy woodwork, but quite often I find myself in the woodworking shop actually looking at all these things like, that actually wouldn't be too bad.
Well, I have to say our boys have really loved the woodwork. They've loved hammering a bit of damage on their fingers along the way, but we've now found you can use a clothes peg to just hold that nail. But I'm going to start off by showing you this little piece because for me this is quite unique and special. As a lot of you might know, we had a beautiful, and sadly we had a beautiful oak tree in our school which was over 60 years old, and it just reached the end of its life. And we'd had so many functions under there, and so many of us have got memories of sort of gathering under the oak, music festivals, staff get-togethers. So when they cut the tree down, our amazing niche staff, our woodwork specialists, went rushing up and said, right, we need to salvage some of this wood so that we can keep it. And so they've made this lovely little hook. But I think what the boys discovered is the uniqueness of the wood, and they needed to look at its character and find the best place to add to it. And so these will hang in people's homes, and they'll know it's a little piece of St. Benedict's that we will be able to maintain.
Right.
I'm going to talk about some of the other items that I've brought along here. This is the B-bot, and this is when you spoke about people maybe not knowing about what options there are. This is coding, and a lot of people say, you know, well, coding, maybe he's not going to go into tech as a career. But coding teaches so many skills. It teaches logic and sequencing and problem solving. And so what they do with these little, very friendly little B-bots, I'll see if I can make him flash his eyes. They build a little pathway out of Lego bricks, and they need to program it to follow the path. And they have to be very careful about each step. And then there will be times when the little robot will turn too early and knock the wall down. So they can't just leave the wall down there. They need to go back and see what went wrong. Where did they need to change the script so that it follows the road carefully. And it's wonderful to see the absolute thrill on their faces when they get it right, and the devastation when it hits the wall, but there's such a motivation to, we need to fix this. And that's when they're building those collaboration skills, working together, listening to each other's ideas, and so a lot of soft skills are developing at that time. So the B-bots are for the grade 0s and 1s, and in the grade 1s and 2s, sorry, the grade 2s and 3s, they do the Lego robotics. And this is a big hit. I can see you envious too. So the way this works, they've built their own little vehicle. So this is a creative construction that they've done based on their own design. But they then have little challenges where they have to maneuver across an area, also putting obstacles in place. They need to calculate, and they're not given strategies, they've got to figure it out. You know, the circumference of the wheel, so that they know how far it needs to go before it needs to turn. They can add all sorts of special effects, like little sounds, little beeping sounds. It has to stop at certain points, and it can rotate. So they add all those factors to it. And the robotics works in a smart way where 3 boys work together. They have a Chrome laptop where they do the coding, but each boy in that threesome has a very specific role. So everybody has to contribute towards this. Nobody can just sit and let somebody else take over, which often happens in group work. So there's a lot of skill in knowing that every single person has a vital role to play. And that idea sort of flows through with the music. So the boys have joined. Was that the bebop?
It was the bebop.
The boys who've chosen music have the opportunity to play in the percussion band or the marimba band. And they also discover that while they've got their little piece that they need to focus on, that their role is crucial within that band. And knowing that every single person has such a vital part to play. And it's quite empowering for boys, knowing that on their own they were great, but together they just make the most amazing music.
No, ma'am, I couldn't help but notice, I don't know if the people at home can see, but there's a little chameleon there.
Okay, I'm going to grab the chameleon from the back.
Just behind the little zebra guy.
So this was done in the nature group, and what I love about the nature group, those are boys who are passionate about nature, and we've had the reptile man came and gave them a demonstration. They've gone on live game drives and engaged with those game rangers, which is a fantastic experience.
I can imagine.
They send their little questions on the iPad, and then the ranger turns around and says, you know, "Wow, Tando, that's an amazing question. Let me explain."
Little Bear Grylls moment.
Wow, he's talking to me. But they learnt about camouflage, and I love this because there was a lot of science and facts involved, but then they built up the creative bit as well. And they found themselves their own background and then created a chameleon that blended in. So hopefully you can see that beautiful chameleon that's camouflaged with that, but it's just something that really inspires the boys. Another item that they did in the Techie Club, so the Techie Club are the boys working on the computers. They've built this little 3D car. Now, it might look very simple to you. This is a great note who's done this. But understanding 3 dimensionals is not simple.
Yeah.
It's a whole spatial concept. So they've had to think about the top and the front and the sides and the wheels and design that car, and you can see they've even put an interesting check finish on it and then cut it out and join it together. So this is using technology in a creative way and turning it into 3D.
Sure. I'm absolutely blown away by the work that the JP boys have managed to actually put together. It's absolutely astounding.
I'm very proud of the boys.
I can imagine. I'm looking at the chameleon. I'm looking at the little Lego pieces, and I'm like, wow, that's exceptional. It's quite interesting to see what starting something at such a young age group is able to do for the boys, and I look forward to actually seeing how the boys grow over the next 13 years that they're at the school. Unfortunately for some of us who've only gotten to experience the niche program for a year, we've not necessarily gotten to explore as much as what your boys will be able to.
That is a pity, because I can imagine how this will be extended. Each year we'll be able to add another level to it.
So I'm very excited. I just want to find out, why do you think it's important to have such a program?
I think it's very important, and a lot of the spin-offs were unexpected, where we've seen benefits that we were not anticipating. I think for me, the biggest bonus is just the absolute joy, seeing those boys just having so much fun. And they're being creative, they with their friends, they're working in teams. And when a boy says to me, "Oh, don't you hate it when the bell goes?" That's an amazing measure of success, and that they are enjoying it. But they've been developing a lot of soft skills in the process. Ultimately we want, not only for school, but beyond school, we need to develop those collaborative skills and perseverance, not giving up. When that little robot's not doing what you want, you need to just keep trying and working at it. It's those sort of skills that they build on, and building character as well. Working with each other, respecting each other. Those are skills which are all just happening quietly in their niches while they're sort of achieving amazing things. And with that, we've seen boys gain confidence in themselves, because they experience success. Wow, I built that robot and it travelled exactly the way I wanted it to go. And that feeling of success translates into their academics. And suddenly they've got more confidence and resilience to give something a go and say, I can do this, I'm going to try that. And when you see that growth in the boys, that they feel safe, because there's no such thing as mistakes here. We just keep working on it to build on it. And so I think even just in terms of future skills, it's just quietly happening in informal ways. And we need to be focusing on those real life situations like that. So we see boys gaining confidence and thriving, and most of all, just loving what they're doing.
Ma'am, I can see you're exceptionally passionate about the niche program. So I can't help but wonder, are you involved in any niche?
I am, and as you can see, I'm just as passionate about that. But first, I feel I need to show you, I nearly forgot to show you this amazing solar oven that was made in the science group.
Oh, brilliant.
And I can see you looking fascinated. It's not a pizza, I'm afraid. I'm not offering you that. The way the solar oven works, and once again the boys are understanding concepts and learning some terminology. They're learning, so the tin foil is to attract the sun, and then it reflects into the box. And inside the box it's got a black base, so they understand that the black base is absorbing the heat. So what you might not be able to see to our viewers, they made s'mores. So in the box is a biscuit, a nice big blob of chocolate and a marshmallow. And this was put into the sun, and just with the simple little contraption, the heat that was captured here melted the marshmallow and the chocolate. And of course boys love to have some munchies afterwards, so they love tucking in on that. And just as an aside, we also fried an egg in there. That's the capacity of this little solar oven.
Sure.
So that was interesting learning for the boys. But I would love to share with you my personal passion, the puppets. So I've become fascinated with puppets, which started with my love for telling stories. And this was just extending it. And so we always start with a story, and we talk about the characters and the emotions, and then we've built puppets. So this giraffe It's based on the story Giraffes Can't Dance. I don't know, probably not a story you've read recently, but the boys built their giraffe, and so there was lots of folding. And as you can see, we've actually done a lot of recycling here. We've used basic materials that we could just upcycle. And in the story, the giraffe feels that devastation when everybody laughs at him because he can't dance, and he has a very awkward dance. So of course the boys love creating the awkward dance, but also realizing what it feels like when people laugh at you. But the story goes on, and he realizes that when you find the music that you love, everyone can dance. So of course, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, giraffe has got some lovely little bottle tops for his feet, and so we had some lovely dancing giraffes at the end of our session. And the boys become so proud of that. The other item that we created were sock puppets. And what I've loved about making the sock puppets is because every puppet gets his own character. And as we talk about the characters for the story, the boys start to take on that character. And even the quietest little boy suddenly has the confidence, and he has a voice when he's got a puppet. And suddenly these exciting little narratives are coming out of the puppets. So we spend time, letting the puppet feel a bit sad or a bit shy, and of course getting very excited. And the boys start having conversations with each other, and we've been lucky enough to have a little puppet theatre. So after we'd made our puppets, we did the story of the wide-mouthed frog. A very corny story, but the boys absolutely loved it. And as you can see, they add their own little twists to it. You can add little bits to the head, find a hat, add some teeth. And so even though they were given the basic guidelines for the puppet, they ultimately make it their own. And just listening to their voice change and their character change, it's been just really rewarding watching that growth and letting the stories come alive. So that's something that I've been involved in, and I've just loved this time with the boys.
No, that's exceptional. Do you mind if I give it a bit of a...
I'd love you to decide what character you're going to come up with.
Hey, hey, hey! No, that's exceptional, ma'am. It's actually brilliant to see that learning at St. Benedict's has us as the boys in our best interests at heart. And that's exceptional, because I think it's something that's very important when you as a parent are looking to send your boy or your son or your daughter to a school. So it's been exceptional getting to speak with you today and learn more about the niche program and what you guys offer and what you've made of it in the junior preparatory school. And thank you to our viewers who've actually managed to log on. I know we had some difficulty logging on earlier on, sorry about that. Please join into our live chat next time, where I'll be speaking with our preparatory school on what they've managed to make of our niche program. Thank you so much. Please keep well, and wishing you all a good night. Thank you so much, Mrs. McKinnon.
It was my real pleasure. Wonderful to talk to the head boy, and we wish you well as you continue through
Thank you so much.
now.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Keep well, everyone. Bye.